close. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we're back for another trade deadline reaction episode to what was pretty boring, Johnny. I'm a little underwhelmed, not going to lie. Trade deadline has come and passed for MLB. It was probably just throughout baseball, in all the years I've been watching, the most boring trade deadline I've ever seen. I mean, not a ton of big names. A lot of the selling teams think they have a chance, which, resulted in nobody's selling anything. So we had to reach for some middling, improvements here and there. But yeah, nothing crazy. How are you doing today, Johnny?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I definitely didn't have the same expectations for this deadline as I have in like the past 10 years of deadlines, just because I think we both knew this is the best team we've had in 10 years. So
That's true.
I can't say I'm that surprised that it was a quiet one. Around baseball, I thought a couple big names would have gone, but they didn't. And maybe the new expanded playoff teams is kind of working because the usual sellers weren't all selling. They're competing.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you had the middling teams like the Cubs, Angels, Yankees. I know Yankees fans don't want to hear that. Yankees, they didn't sell. And then you had the really bad teams like the Royals, the Athletics, who didn't have anything to sell because there was just no talent whatsoever on those teams, which ended up resulting in just not boring players being moved. I mean, you had the two Mets pitchers who were fun. That was surprising. It was nice seeing the Mets sell after their experiment went wrong. But other than that, though, nothing crazy. I guess we should probably just kind of get into it now. Trade number one. So last episode, I don't know if you remember my I don't want list, but it had a couple names, and notably there was one name that I finished off with, and his name was Michael Lorenzen. And yes, he was on my I don't want list. I couldn't provide you a good reason. I just said that, he gives me bad vibes, and I feel like he's going to suck when he comes here. So sure enough,
Mm-hmm.
Saw it coming. Anyway, yeah, sure enough, Dave Dombrowski does exactly that. He trades for Michael Lorenzen because he heard the podcast and he knows that I don't like him, and he just did it out of spite. No, I'm just kidding. Michael Lorenzen, solid middle of the rotation arm. I'm going to have issues trying to kind of drum up support for this. He's fine. I'm just going to turn it over to you, Johnny. How do you feel about Michael Lorenzen?
Well, I think from last episode, you remember that I had him on he just fell off my players to target. So I wasn't the hottest on him. He wasn't the guy I wanted. I really didn't think we needed anyone, to be honest. But Mike Lorenzen, I guess he fits, starting pitching depth doesn't hurt. Can give us a relief option in the playoffs if he hits his innings limit. I don't love the return. I think we should have been able to get. I mean, sure. I know I'm going to get attacked for this one. I've already got attacked on Twitter about it. But we could have gotten Michael Lorenzen for less. I mean, just saying.
Oh man, this is rough. You and I, we're in agreement here, and also shout out to my computer. I don't know if you can still see the picture of me, but that makes it a lot. That makes it a lot less awkward now, so you're not talking to yourself.
100%.
Yeah. So Michael Lorenzen, he's kind of a journeyman who brings middling results to the table. He's a guy who finds success for stretches of time. But then he goes through these stretches where he doesn't really look like a major league pitcher. And everybody who's coming back at you on Twitter is clearly just opening up his baseball reference page and seeing that he's a high 3s ERA this year, which, that must mean he's good. But you know who also had a very good ERA when we traded for them a couple years ago? Kyle Gibson. And, Noah Syndergaard had a very good ERA last year when we traded for him. He was in the high 3s. And I can't help but feel like this is a theme. It's a theme to kind of give up like nothing crazy. Don't give up anything crazy and kind of get a pitcher who, in theory, should come in and pitch well. But it doesn't seem to happen that way with all these trades. And deep down, I kind of knew it was going to be a Michael Lorenzen type. I just didn't really want to admit it. But here we are. I mean, he's going to be a 6-man. There's issues already because he's approaching his career high in innings, which, I mean, that's not good. So we're probably looking at a guy who's going to mix in between the bullpen and starting. And I guess it makes sense from the point, you have a guy who can do that. I mean, if you trade for just a starter who's never relieved before, you can't really have that flexibility. So that is nice. But I'd be shocked if he was better on from this point in the season than he has been, which makes me think that we're buying high. And like you said, we traded. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name. Yu, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's our number 5 prospect, which shout out to him because I didn't know he's climbed that much. He passed Rojas already. He's young and he's out of Taiwan, and I mean, ever since he's gotten here, he's hit. So it kind of feels like a situation where we're kind of giving up a prospect that we're kind of unlocking. He's climbing the ranks, kind of like last year where we gave up Logan O'Hoppe. He's blocked at second base with Bryson Stott. I get it from that point of view, but I don't know if that's necessarily the guy we needed to give up to get a Michael Lorenzen. I think we could have given up less. I get that, there weren't many sellers. So, it was it was a seller's market. But I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. It did feel like at the time, it felt like they made a trade just to make one. I think you hit a good point that I think when people look at Michael Lorenzen, they look at his 2023 stats and his baseball reference, which has been good. That division has not been good that he's been facing. And we talked about it. You just don't want to buy high on any player at the deadline. I mean, that's what teams fall into the trap. It's what it's what desperate contenders kind of do. It's something that we've always seen the Angels do. We see Padres do it all the time. A guy that's doing well, they're like, oh, we need that. We need a guy that performs well. And they don't perform to that level in the long term. The good thing, we don't have him for a long term. It's a rental. This one, when I saw it pop up, I neither smiled nor frowned.
Yeah, this is the formula for losing teams. You bring in a guy and you hope that he has a couple good months so you can sell high on him, and we're the guys buying high on him. It's just the way it is, and it's one of those moves where Dombrowski probably felt pressure to improve the pitching staff in any way he could. He doesn't really want to talk about the big guys in our farm system, and he kind of he had to do something. He felt like, and this is kind of where you end up when you don't do anything until 4:00 on the Monday before the trade deadline. The ball's not in our court. So we do have Michael Lorenzen for the stretch run here. So from my understanding, 6-man until August 14th, which I don't know what that date necessarily symbolizes. I saw tweets that we're going to go 6-man till the 14th of August. I guess just because they don't have the days off to give guys rest. Afterwards, I don't know who's going to the bullpen. Somebody's probably going to the bullpen. I
heard a theory.
You heard a theory.
Heard a theory on this one. Okay. After August 14th, they're gonna, because Chris Sanchez and Michael Lorenzen are both nearing their innings limits, or not limits, but innings from their max innings the past seasons. They might start piggybacking them. Those two.
Oh God. Oh man, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it does sound fun. That's a real sexy decision out of the Phillies right there. Piggyback Michael Lorenzen and Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll just both be super effective in their new roles. All right, well, I guess we'll keep an eye on that development, but the sooner we can stop talking about Michael Lorenzen, the better. So the resulting move on the 40-man was us DFAing Josh Harrison. You and I have both been on that bandwagon for a long time. He's old. He is kind of washed up at this point. He doesn't bring anything to the table, and there's more dynamic people in our farm system who can kind of satisfy that role. But I don't think it's going to be one of those guys because shortly after that, we traded away Bailey Falter for, oh man, I should know the name. Honestly, I shouldn't know the name. It happened like 20 minutes ago.
Rodolfo Castro.
Rodolfo Castro, who kind of like Josh Harrison, is a utility type third, shortstop second.
Yep.
That's the formula. I don't know why we feel the need.
He's a switch hitter, and he does have very strong numbers from the right-hand side against lefties. So I think that might have been what they saw.
I hear you there, and it makes sense because at a certain point we were probably going to have to DFA Bailey Falter off the 40-man. And once we DFA him, we probably wouldn't have gotten anything. So this is a chance to get something. I don't know what type of control Castro has, but the first thing I thought of, why don't we want to call Kingery up? I mean, it just felt like a perfect opportunity to at least give him a look. I guess the argument is you don't want to put all your marbles in a Scott Kingery basket. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a marginal move that I see the strategy behind it, but I'm a little biased towards what we already have between Cody Clemens and Scott Kingery. Like, do we really think Rodolfo Castro is going to be the answer against lefties late in games? Probably not.
Yeah. After kind of scouring his numbers before this podcast, from the right-hand side, I feel like he's just going to be like Edmundo Sosa.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's
like just an average bat, horrible OBP, bad average, but will hit one out of the ballpark every now and then.
Yeah, I just don't see the difference between him and Weston Wilson or Scott Kingery. I think both of those guys can kind of do what he does. I would have preferred to flip Bailey Falter for a just a low level prospect. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really from the start. I didn't really understand a couple things about this trade deadline. I didn't really understand the goals because they were not very clear from the start with what they needed. So my expectations were already kind of messed up based off of that. And I just didn't know like what Dombrowski valued. Like obviously you have the starters and the guys who we count on, but I can't get a firm grasp on what depth in this system like Dombrowski really values. Because you have Cave Hall, you have all these guys, and we keep on bringing in new guys because for some reason we don't trust them, and I don't know if that's there's a reason for that. I don't know if it's just a philosophy that this front office is kind of established: bring as many guys in as you can and see what works.
Breaking news!
Did we get Juan Soto?
No, Orioles acquired Jack Flaherty, and the Diamondbacks acquired Tommy Pham, a Phillies target.
This is so lame, this whole deadline. Call me next year, and hopefully we have some big names. Yeah, at least Flaherty has some that might be a good spot for Flaherty because they have that giant wall in left field that nobody can hit home runs out of. He might give up less runs now. That'll be good. Good for him, Jack Flaherty. But anyway, as I was saying, I don't really understand what is I don't understand the plan for any of these guys. And I understand it even less now. It's just very interesting to watch how they handle just the depth guys and the bullpen depth. And it's weird, but he has a plan and he seems to be sticking to it.
Yeah, I was worried that we were going to get some vintage championship hungry Dombrowski this year at the deadline, where he kind of just throws away all value to prospects and just lets it rip. I guess I'm just glad he didn't make any blockbuster deals. I mean, I was kind of sweating it. I think I would like to hear from like a guy like Preston Mattingly sometimes, like guys like that and Brian Barber. But yeah, I never really know what Dombrowski's plan is except for patching holes in the big league roster.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and it's not a Dombrowski thing. It seems to be a theme that teams are just they didn't take the typical approach that they do at this trade deadline. I mean, it was not a normal trade deadline. Marlins are acquiring Josh Bell from the Guardians for Gene and Cleo Watson. That's a biggie. But
For
Marlins,
Gene?
yeah, Marlins are going for it. This is the first time in a while I've seen the Marlins this active. They seem to be going for it, which is good for baseball. Not good for the playoff chase because they're pretty good. But anyway, yeah, no, you're right. It's weird, but I think the big takeaway from this trade deadline is he probably really trusts what he already has, and it's a team that we've talked about. It's kind of a complete team already. It wasn't clear from the start. A lot of these, a lot of the expectations for the second half kind of revolve around people improving. And Johnny, over the past week, I know we haven't talked about the Phillies in a while. This team is in a funk right now, and it's a bad time because the trade deadline is usually a time of the year where you answer questions. But this team has just created more questions in this past week because there seems to be just an utter there's just a throughout the clubhouse everybody seems to be underperforming, and it's annoying. It's fine for the first couple months, but we're getting to the point in the season where it's actually getting annoying. Nick Castellanos, who pretty much carried us for the first couple months, he looks awful. He looks just as bad as he did last year, probably worse. And sound the alarm bells because that's bad.
Yeah,
he's an extremely streaky player. He's turning into one somehow. And when he loses the ability to kind of control an at bat, he's dead out. He's Javi Baez type dead out. And he's the guy who kind of carried us for the first couple months. Trey Turner has been awful. Trey Turner has been awful this whole season. And it seems to be getting worse as well. He looks awful in the field. He's making errors. He's getting thrown out of baseball games where we need him. He strikes out too much. He's swinging at bad pitches. It's affecting him in all facets of the game, and he's been a complete disappointment so far. And I'm not even being dramatic. He's been a complete disappointment. Kyle Schwarber's still in the 100s. Still. It's August, and Kyle Schwarber's in the 100s, and it's not even close to 200. He's 186. Yeah. That's I know he's never going to hit for a high average, but that's just not a useful major league hitter. I'm just going to say it. At this point, we know he's going to give us big time pop, but at what cost? And I hate questioning Schwarbs like this because he's a fan favorite and he's done so much. But I mean, he brings nothing in terms of defense. He's pretty much a dead out unless he's going yard or striking out or walking. He's a 3 true outcome type guy. And we need more out of Kyle Schwarber. We didn't get the June Schwarbs, which usually bails out the rest of the mediocrity in terms of the batting average. And yeah, I mean, if I sound frustrated, it's because I am. I just watched us lose 2 out of 3 of the Pirates, who aren't even trying. The Pirates are not trying anymore. They are done with this season. And between that kind of core of players, I didn't talk about JT, who he's been great defensively as always, but the hitting has just not been a non-factor this year. And probably the newest development is this Rob Thompson. What is going on? Is this affecting him as well? Because this was a very poor showing from him this weekend. And yeah, I mean, rough out of all the veterans. It's disappointing.
Well, all right. You're obviously frustrated. I'm not going to allow you to rant any longer. But I think what we're just seeing with the whole Thompson situation, I gave this one some kind of long and hard thought. We kind of meshed over, put a Band-Aid on all kind of what was. It's impressive that none of this was exposed while the veterans have been underperforming. And I think now it's just some of the ugly is starting to show. And honestly, I don't think there's any like simple way to sum this up. It freaking sucks. But by not going out and getting anyone at the deadline, I think they made a really nice statement to this team that, hey, we paid like 5 of you like $20 million. Go do your job. We're not going to get you anything else until you win like we paid you to.
Yeah. I don't know if that does enough to kind of quell the issues that I have with this team right now, but he trusts this team and he should, but I mean, this is a long stretch of players underperforming, and even like last year, you had JT who got off to the terrible start. He got out of it in early June, and we're in August, and there's no signs of anything turning around. Trey Turner, who's been a career 300 hitter, it hasn't shown any signs. Like, I hear what you're saying with the trust, but is there such thing as having too much trust? Because I think Thompson has too much trust, and it took him till August to move Trey Turner down in the lineup. Trey Turner, who's been awful, the whole season. We're talking 4-month sample size of Trey Turner being bad. Why are we just now doing that? Especially when you have guys at the bottom, mainly the young guys who, thank God, the young guys have been good this year. I mean, between Bohm leading the team in RBIs, Bryson Stott in hits, Christopher Sanchez in ERA. I mean, the young guys have really stepped up, which is the reason we're probably in the spot that we are. But why did we wait so long to filter them into the top of the lineup? I don't see any defense for that. It's especially Trey Turner at the 2 spot. I don't understand that at all. Bohm is the most prototypical 2-hitter in the history of 2-hitters. And I don't really want him to be a prototypical 2-hitter, but he is. That's just the type of hitter he is. What are we waiting for? Why were we waiting? That's too much trust, in my opinion.
We believe in the player that he is, and we just know that what's going on is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's not going to do it for me. I need a better explanation.
You can't always explain everything, so it just is what it is.
Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, I think I get trust, but we've been trusting these guys all season, and at a certain point, you can't trust people into the off season when we miss the playoffs or the season goes wrong, and you were trusting the guys all the time and trust didn't amount to anything. At a certain point, I need to.
But if all right, so let's say like Trey Turner last week before he got moved out was torrid. He went on a torrid streak and he found his groove and he raised it in 2 weeks. He raised his batting average, OBP, slugging percentage, a bunch of points. Everyone would probably praise it. Like Thompson stuck with him, like blah, 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 blah. Like it's hindsight,
Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, at a certain point, the team's making dumb errors on the base paths. They've been doing that all year. They're making dumb plays in the field. The errors between all of that and the terrible showing at the plate. I don't think just sticking to your guts is going to get you out of it. I know Tomper finally kind of spoke up, and he had a team meeting the other day, which I know he doesn't do very often, and hopefully it kind of jolted the team alive. We won the first game in Miami, but yeah, it's been rough. I'm telling you, dude, Sunday was one of the more frustrating games that I've ever watched, and it's saying something because that should have been a win, and any combination of things that were done correctly, if we did those things correctly, it would have been a win, and it wasn't. So yeah, it stinks because this team, like you said, the talent's there. We know these guys can be good, but when's it gonna happen? Like when? I'm ready.
Dude,
I'm ready.
I think I'm just tired of this. Maybe I've been listening to too much 94.1 or something, this echo chamber of complaining, but the rest of the National League is a lot of these teams are dealing with very similar problems, if not worse. We're actually kind of on the top tier of the absolute shit shows. And really, like, it was just 2 games. I mean, flush it, And I think they did. And they played a really sharp game of baseball. And we really don't have to think about any game past tonight anymore.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't know. This team can be a lot better than they've been, and it's just between all
I
the
think they will
losing
be. I
between
really
all the
think they will be.
losing streaks early in the season and the underperforming. I don't understand any of it, and the more I try to understand it, the more frustrating it becomes. Because there's pieces here to really do something special, and yeah, between those veterans and even Aaron Nola, who still seems to just not be figuring anything out. It's odd, but yeah, no. I guess I'll kind of turn it over to you. Do you have anything you kind of want to hit on
Yeah,
regarding this team, where they're at?
I guess I'm just playing devil's advocate most of this episode because you have a higher frustration level with the team than I do at the moment.
I wish
But
people could see my face because I just sound
yeah,
like a crazy person on the phone at like 91 WIP. I
you
like
do
the
actually.
the face would help. The face would help. Maybe I'll draw like an angry face on the camera.
Yeah,
Continue.
I just think we have like this absolutely absurd expectation for this team this year.
It's not absurd. It's not absurd. It's just not be dumb. I just don't want to
Yeah,
be a
like
dumb team. Why,
I don't
like
either. But like every team in the MLB has a
first
shitty
and
team like that.
second, no outs in the top
Everyone
of the
does
10th.
something shitty like that.
Or
It's
no,
not
no,
like
second and third,
I
top
know
of
what happened. I watched it.
top of the 10th in extra innings, and we don't score anything. We score no runs.
Yeah,
Marsh charges on a single up the middle with the bases loaded, lets it go by him, and 3 runs score on a bases clearing triple. That just can't happen. And if I was
but
the
it did,
coach,
and it's
I would have taken
done.
a very different approach. Because you like the mistakes keep happening, and it's on the manager to set some sort of expectation on the team. Like, that's unacceptable. You are a major league ball player, and they keep making dumb JV high school type mistakes. It's basic baseball stuff, and I do think it does fall on the manager to kind of set the expectations for what's expected of you. There's no reason we should be making mistakes like that, and you can wipe them under the floor, but if they keep happening, they keep
And I didn't say
happening.
wipe them under the floor. I said accept them, and then put it in the past.
Yes, we've tried that, but they keep making these mistakes that keep costing us games.
I don't know.
It's
Like
the
baseball
reality of the
teams make
situation.
mistakes.
I'm
Like
saying it's I'm
hopefully
saying it's
hopefully
unacceptable.
we make less. Hopefully we make less issues as the season goes on. But at least we're getting them out of the way right now. People forget it's August 1st. It's not October. Like we're gonna be fine. We're gonna make the playoffs, and we're gonna have a good run. I know it.
I appreciate your positivity, but I really I expect more, and it's unacceptable from my point of view. If you're a fan and you watch that product on the field, you should frankly be upset as well, because they're paying a lot of money, they have a lot of expectations, and the least you can do is avoid mental mistakes. Um, it's a basic expectation. I understand that baseball is kind of a game of streaks. Um, that works to a certain extent. Unfortunately, some guys seem to be on just season long streaks, and it's kind of dragging on. I do trust the talent still, and I do sound like a crazy person, but it's really it's getting to the point where someone has to just clear the air and just let them know that this stuff can't happen. It's just the truth. We blew the game Sunday, and we probably should have gotten swept. And if we keep playing like the way we've been playing, we will not make the playoffs. And it's not dramatic.
I know,
It's
but
just the
I just
truth.
think you sound naive. I think everyone in the ball club, everyone on the team knows that, and they know exactly what they can do to fix that. I don't think these guys are like aloof. I don't think they're confused. I think they know that, and they're trying.
So why does it keep happening?
Shit happens, man. You don't
Shit
always
happens.
want it to.
Shit
There's some
happens a
shit that
lot.
just does. Not
No
that
shit,
much.
Johnny.
Eight games above 500.
We lead the NL in errors. And if there was a stat on base runners thrown out, we'd probably lead that too. Um, No, I don't know.
Well,
I understand.
We knew we constructed a team with bad defense. Like, I don't know what to tell you here.
I understand what you're trying to do.
We knew
You're
we
trying
had a
to
bad defense.
You're trying to. I know what you're trying to do. You're defending the team, which you should. But the bad defense and the bad base running, it only works if we hit, and we're not hitting. And it's a team that should be a lot better than it is. And I don't necessarily know what else to say. It's the truth, and I hope they are better because yeah, this wild card, it can easily go bad. As easy as it is for us to take the wild card, we could easily lose the wild card because a lot of these teams, Marlins included, they're going for it, and it's crowded right now. I think we're a half game up. Yeah, I don't know. It's a big series right now because if the Marlins take the next 3 games, it could turn the season in a poor swing here. So yeah,
One game at a time.
Hopefully they figure it out, and yeah, I think that's kind of all I got. I didn't check my phone to see if
other stuff happened.
Buzzer, the Guardians released Gene Segura.
Already?
Yeah, that was a quick tenure for
Dang.
good old.
Tough to see Gene go from a World Series team to released in less than a year.
Yeah, one of the things that people are going to forget about, it was a really good call not re-signing Gene.
Phenomenal. We were right about that one.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. But yeah, no, it was a boring trade deadline, and hopefully August is kind to us because I'm not trying to clean up a playoff spot in the last week like last year. I'd like it to go a little smoother. Fortunately, that's not always how it works out, but I guess we'll kind of see. Play it by day.
Things will be good, fellas.
You got anything else?
Now let's what do we got? A 4-game series against the Marlins. That's what this is.
4-gamer took game 1. So yeah. I guess
and then we head to Washington after that.
I do not know.
I think so. I think 3 games in Washington.
Yeah, I mean this you got to take some games this week. you got to win some games this week. If we go to Washington and we lose 2 out of 3 again, you're going to get some angry faces out of me next week.
Yeah, all right. For the sake of Josh's mental well-being, come on, Phils, just do the damn thing and put the Marlins to bed and put the Nats to bed, and let's just play the baseball we all know that this team's capable of. Because god dang, I'm tired of everyone being mad about the Phillies. I just want to be happy about the Phillies for the rest of the damn season. That's all I got.
We're in agreement there. And I think that should kind of do our trade deadline reaction. Sorry, it was kind of a sour one, given that the Phillies didn't do anything we wanted, and the Phillies have been playing bad. So there really wasn't many great takeaways. But I guess if there's one thing that we can kind of find resolve in, the Mets experiment was a disaster. They sold like everything they could, and everything has gone bad for them, and at least we're not Mets fans.
That is a silver lining. I'll throw one more silver lining in there just to boost the morale of the podcast. You won't have to watch Josh Harrison get out 4 times every time he starts.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that too. I like that plan. That'll work.
Positives.
As always, thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week. I will fix my camera.
Please.
Like I said many times before, if you are an Eagles fan, go check out Pick Swap Media and all of their material. Training camp is going on soon. Something like that. And yeah, as always, we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for listening.
Go Fightins.